Welcome to Cheston, the #1 post-game analysis platform in Ghana. This is a game between Marco Morris and Benedict Effah. Marco Morris, top 10 player in Ghana, and Benedict Effah participating in his first Tema Classics. Let's see how this game goes. So we have a Caro-Kann, 2 knights Caro-Kann. Bishop takes f3, queen takes f3. And then we have knight f6, a very tricky move order because e5 is very bad, particularly because the e5 pawn becomes weak. So let's see if e5 is played. The other alternative should be the exchange, which he goes for. Okay. Now, it should be around equal, but black is slightly favored here. But this move d3 doesn't address the move d4, which can be played in the future. Yes. And so he moves his queen again, breaking opening principles of moving the queen twice in the opening. And then he plays bishop f4. Now this move I don't particularly like because what is the plan in this? Okay, short castles. Black should be fine here because he's developed all his pieces, strong pawn chain, and white still doesn't know what his plan is. So d4, like I said, was played. Knight e4. And then the best move, yes, knight d5, not trading, but attacking the bishop, bishop d2. And then a good plan here should be queen b6, attacking b2. Yes, this is a good move from white, bishop g2, preparing to castle. Okay, queen b6, attacking b2, something has to be done. Rook b1, okay, good move. And then rook c8, the engine preferred trading the bishops off. Okay, short castles. And now knight b4, a mistake because white has the nice resource c4. If pawn takes, en passant, then there's pawn takes and the knight is pinned to the queen, so you lose a piece there. Bishop takes, so he didn't see the tactic. So the knight is attacking c2 and then a2. Supported by the rook on c8. So this is a very difficult position with 2 minutes on the clock to play. Rook c1, knight takes. The position is falling apart for white. Rook back to d1, knight back to b4, attacking the c2 pawn. Black is playing excellently at this point. But let's see how the conversion is going to unfold. So he's taking his time. Okay, he's going for the plan of doubling the rooks here, which makes sense, to be honest, because the c2 pawn is not going anywhere. And he blunders with knight d2, which allows rook takes c2. Better was knight a2 to kick the rook and then take with the rook. Okay, so in this position, yes, the knight attacks the queen on b6, but the best move should be queen to b3, defending the knight and, blockading the b2 pawn. So he plays it, queen b3, very great move. And now let's see what, I think the move for white here should be probably something with the knight. Okay, but he goes knight a5, which is a mistake because taking on b7 is not really a good move because the knight will be trapped. So let's see what he does. I think the best move should be queen b5. If you take my knight, I take your knight. A good trade, actually, for black. So he plays that. Let's see. Yes, he plays that. Okay. Okay, so he takes. Now the knight is actually trapped. So sleeping the knight is the best way. Okay, knight b4. Now the knight is actually trapped and gone. Okay, let's see. Bishop e4, which doesn't address the threat of the knight. Now there's a huge danger right now because knight d4 actually traps the knight. Okay, rook c8 first to attack the knight one more time. And then queen back, which is a blunder because there's knight d5. And then the knight will be gone. Does he play it? Oh, he went for the tactic knight takes d3, which wins a pawn though, but would have been more winning to play knight d5 because the knight would have been trapped. Okay, queen takes. We are going to the end game with 2 pawns down for white. Rook takes b7. The b2 pawn is also a liability. King f1, bringing the king closer to block to watch the pawn. What will he play? I like the move a5. Getting the pawn closer to promotion, and also, so he plays rook b3, which if the bishop moves, he takes on h3, which is a good move actually. So the bishop can move. So his move now is king e2, which he plays, then a5, trying to play a4, protecting the rook. And here he has to continue playing a4, but he plays a check, which is okay, but brings the king closer to the king. And then he takes his rook. Where does he? Okay, rook back to b8, which is a mistake because yes, black is fine, but he's losing the threat a bit. So bishop back to defend, and now this is a mistake because he has the nice move rook c4, but he misses it. Oh, now they are getting to a time scramble. Both players making mistakes. King f8. Oh, there's a free pawn on the h7, but that wasn't captured. It should be equal now because there's a blockade on the light squares. And rook b4, offering a trade which doesn't actually work because the endgame will be drawn. But he goes back, which is also a mistake. So h6. Now there's a permanent blockade on the light squares, and if white is careful, he'll escape with a draw. But he's pushing his pawns and allowing himself prone to weaknesses. Rook back with a nice idea of rook c8, kicking the king and then infiltrating. And then rook check. Okay, beautiful move. King has to move. If rook blocks, there's trade, and then the endgame is lost because of the passed a5 pawn. Let's see if he blunders that. Oh, he blunders that actually. Rook takes, and then king c5 blockades the pawn, and then the a5 pawn is marching to glory. So a4, nice move, deflecting the king away. King takes c4, and then wherever the king goes, the black king shoulders the king and shoulders the pawn as well to promotion. Now, yes, king c3. King c2 is not possible because of the bishop, but you can now push. King b1, and then there should be push again, controlling the c1 square so the king cannot infiltrate. At this point, promotion is inevitable. So bishop c2, the king has to come the other way to guide that pawn to promotion, which is played. The bishop will also come and support the d2 pawn. So the king goes the other way. The bishop is trapped virtually. So the bishop a5, nice move, protecting the pawn. So now the king can go to f2 and then e1. Nice move. So king back, only move. Now king f2 and then king e1 is game over. Okay. And in this position, I think white ran out of time. So that was a good game from black, showing nice endgame mastery.